All right, hey folks, this is Sherman Ray. This is the Livin in Vegas podcast. Let's get this show started, shall we? Well, and welcome, folks. This is Sherman Ray. This is the Livin in Vegas podcast for a Memorial Day weekend. All right, I got it all out. So, welcome everybody. It's good to see you today for Livin in Vegas podcast. I'm your host Sherman Ray, publisher of Livin in Vegas magazine, and I want to welcome you all to the show today. This is actually our first Memorial Day weekend where we're doing a show, which is great. So always excited about being here. I've got to tell you a little bit about something that happened last night, which was we had a really great time last night. We went out. The missus and I went out to an event last night, so I'll tell you a little bit about that. But before we do that, and also got to do an interview with John Ponder from over at Hope for Prisoners, and so we'll talk a little bit about that too. But before we do any of that, I want to welcome all of our friends who are watching us on Facebook. You might be on our Livin in Vegas group page, might be on our business page. So I want to welcome you all to the page. It's just we're having a good time. We really are. I just want to just thank everybody for just being a part of what we're doing. So I'm going on to the pages right now. So if some of you want to think, what the heck is this guy doing? And so I'm gonna say this really before I get going here too, because I'm a little upset. You may not notice, but I'm actually upset. And the reason why is because I make my living, okay, as meager as it is, doing a magazine, social media, all this other stuff. And so one of the things that I deal with on occasion is that I do a lot of posting and a lot of sharing on Facebook. And Facebook actually makes its living by having people share and post on Facebook. Well, if you don't share and you don't post on Facebook, you know what they'll do? They'll say, hey, so why don't you share and post on Facebook? And I go, well, because you won't let me. And that's what happened yesterday. So I was sharing something on Facebook yesterday, and it said, well, we don't know if we like you doing that, and we think you might be abusing what we want you to do. So I was so upset. So, so needless to say, we're probably spending more and more time not on Facebook as we do. We'll spend a lot more time, and I know we have fans on Facebook, but we probably won't spend as much time on Facebook because you know what? They don't want me on it. They just don't want us on there. So we'll do as much as we can early in the morning, but we're gonna probably be doing a lot more stuff on our website, which is cool. You know, I mean, we have to. We really need to be on our website a lot more anyway. So, I'm sorry, I'm messing up on a page here. So if you're on our Facebook pages, say hello. Just wave a little bit and say, hey, Sherm, good to see you, that kind of stuff. I'd love to give you a shout out and say hello to you as you're watching the show. So for some of you, this might be the first time you even get to see me. I'm Sherman Ray. I'm the publisher of Livin in Vegas magazine, as I said before. Magazine is out. It's on our website. This is one of our sponsors, Greg and Kristen Berta. They are the owners of Junk Luggers. And they do some great. It's a mission for them where they are able to clean up your home, help you declutter your house, that kind of stuff. Check them out, folks. Just go to our website at livininvegas.com. You can check out the current edition of Livin in Vegas magazine. Also, we're working on a new thing that we'll tell you about it in just a second, folks. But let's pay a bill here real quick, and then we'll be back and we'll talk a little bit more about a new project we're working on. Okay, here we go. Hi, everybody. It's Sherman Ray for Livin in Vegas podcast. Are you a business owner that's looking to get the word out about his product, service, or even just a great message out there? Well, we'd like to give you that opportunity by being a guest on Livin in Vegas podcast. It's super simple. All you've got to do is contact us at advertising@livininvegas.com. That's advertising@livininvegas.com, and we'll schedule you for an interview on Livin in Vegas podcast. I'm Sherman Ray for Livin in Vegas podcast, where we talk about the people, the places, the trends, and the events that shape the city of Las Vegas. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Well, we are back, folks. This is Sherman Ray, and this is Livin in Vegas podcast. And once again, we want to remind you about our magazine that's out, and to go to our website, check it out, and you can actually download it. You can actually download the magazine. Just go to livininvegas.com. And we've actually just added a couple of tabs to our website, and one of them is called Helpful Links. And because it's kind of hard to put the links just on the page, so you can actually get our links. So just go to the links tab on, just look for it on top. Just go through the menu on top on livininvegas.com. Look for the links tab, and actually you can actually see all kinds of cool links that we're adding on there. And check back every day. Okay, check back every day because we add more and more links. If we talk about something that's on the show, we will probably add those links to that page. Okay, so and there's a ton of them. Okay, there's really a ton of things out there. So it is Memorial Day weekend, folks. It really is, and I'm very excited about Memorial Day, not just because of what Memorial Day weekend is. It's because we get to pay tribute to the men and women who have fallen for our country, and so there's a lot of festivals. There's a lot of things that are going on for Memorial Day weekend, and we really encourage you to get out there and celebrate Memorial Day weekend, and live. Just remember all the people who fought and died for this country. My dad was in the military, so he was in the Air Force. He was in the Army before that. He was in the Air Force after that. That's what brought Linda and I to Las Vegas. Linda, my wife, is a military. My sister was in the military. Her kids were all in the military too. So one of my cousins actually was Colin Powell. I know some people are going, who? You remember that guy? Yeah, the Secretary of State. Yes, he was that same guy. Yeah, that was actually a distant cousin. Actually, I'd say a closer cousin because my mom saw Colin Powell on TV. She saw him on TV 10, 12 years ago or something like that. And she called me up and she goes, is that Colin? And because I used to watch a lot of political stuff. And I said, yeah, it's Colin. She goes, that's her cousin. And I went, yeah, I knew about that. So all of my cousins who are back in Jamaica or New York and everything else, they keep reminding me, they go, say something about Colin Powell, say something. So I'm saying something about Colin Powell now because he is actually a relative of mine. Let's talk about, I don't know, what are we going to talk about? Because are we going to do most of the show? Yeah, we'll do most of the show today. Okay, so I'm going to, so a lot of people are coming to Las Vegas. So I don't know if you've noticed that. And especially overseas folks. Overseas gambling has been up. The overseas market coming to Las Vegas as a result of the pandemic lifting has really just gone up. They said the Gaming Control Board said Thursday that $1.13 billion that casinos statewide reported winning last month represented the best April ever for the state, Clark County, and the Las Vegas Strip. And I mean, I'll tell you what's going on is really we're just having this big bounce back, a huge bounce back in the state, and we don't mind that at all. As a matter of fact, we're going to do a story here, maybe just in a minute. We'll talk about a special group of people who are growing by leaps and bounds here. I think you're really going to enjoy this. It's a very interesting story. But we're getting a lot more people from overseas coming here, and which means we're still attracting a lot of people. And it's probably not just for sports. Even though we have a lot of sports here in Las Vegas, I mean, not just a little bit, we got a lot of sports here in Vegas. But they're not here for sports. As a matter of fact, let's talk. I'm going to talk. I'll deviate for just a minute right now. So I'll tell you what happened last night. So yesterday is supposed to go over and do an interview with a good friend of mine named Glenn Frank. And Glenn Frank is the owner of Frankly Good Coffee. Yummy. Let's drink to him right now, as a matter of fact. We'll drink to Glenn right now. Known Glenn for probably close to a decade now. And because I used to be a coffee roaster. And I noticed Glenn was posting a lot of stories on his Facebook feed of him sailing a boat out at Lake Mead. And I went, oh, that's pretty cool, you know. So I said, Glenn, I'd love to do a story about you with your sailing because you're doing an awful lot of sailing and you're talking a lot about it. And so he said, well, that's great, Sherm. I'd love for you. Why don't you go out on my boat with me? And so my wife and I planned to go out with Glenn on his boat out on Lake Mead. We would talk about his boat and how he sails and all this other stuff. Well, the weather has been terrible for like 2 weeks. And so what we've done is we keep putting it back and keep putting it back. And so yesterday we were getting ready to go again. I just finished an interview earlier in the day and I went outside and it was windy again. And I called up Glenn and I said, Glenn, this is bad. This is a no bueno moment. We're not going to be able to do this. And he said, you know, you're right. Now, Glenn, if it was just up to him, he'd go out in 90-mile-an-hour winds. He doesn't care. This guy's been sailing since he was 4 years old. He says, I'll do whatever. Hurricane, gusts, you know, maelstroms, whatever. Old man in the sea, whales, you know, harpoons. He doesn't care because Glenn is a sailor. Only thing he's missing is a patch, you know, and a peg leg. So he's just very good. I'm being facetious. Nobody's very good. Comes from New York. But so what he did is he invited me to a meeting of the Nevada Yacht Club. And I went, I had no idea there was a Nevada Yacht Club. And he goes, yeah, we've been meeting for years. I go, really? He says, yeah, you can talk to the Commodore. You can speak to the Commodore. You can talk to these guys. They'll tell you all about the whole sailing thing here in Las Vegas. So how many of you knew that there was actually a yacht club? Now there's sailing. I knew there was sailing out in Lake Mead. I knew there was a boating because I used to have a boat years ago. Jet skis, all that stuff. I knew there was. I had no idea there was a yacht club in Las Vegas. Not only is there a yacht club, we're going to do a story on this, so you'll have to take a look at Livin Weekly magazine. It's going to be out today. I'll write all about it, and we're going to do a two-parter because there's so much to this, and you're going to really dig this. So we went to the Nevada Yacht Club meeting last night. The room was there was a lot of people there, no doubt about it. There was a lot of people there because it was windy out at Lake Mead, so they decided they weren't going to go sailing. They were just going to have this meeting. And I got to find out a whole lot about these guys. We're going to write an article about it. I want to thank Glenn and the Nevada Yacht Club folks. I was going to bring it to them. They gave me a present it was a bag. A guy named Jason, who's a super nice guy from Chicago. He gave me a bag that had their logo on it and stuff like that. And I thought, so we'll write a story about the Nevada Yacht Club. You'll have to check it out. Also, yesterday, got to interview John Ponder, who is the president, CEO, and founder of Hope for Prisoners. And many of you have heard me speak about John Ponder before. And because early on, before they opened their first doors, John and I met to talk about Hope for Prisoners. Because he had this vision. The Lord had spoken to him. My pastor asked me to speak to John because John had this great idea. Little did anybody know that this thing would turn into... It's huge. It's just super huge. Went down to his new office, and I had to get an appointment to meet the guy. They wouldn't let me go in. This is totally different. This is high level stuff. It's so cool. And that's why and the reason why I'm so excited about it is because I remember John and Hope for Prisoners when it first got started. Before all the people jumped on board, and I remember that. Okay, and once again, I will never take and should never take and will never presume to ever take credit for anything that Hope for Prisoners is doing, other than the fact that I believed in him early. Okay, that's really pretty much it. Okay, I'll stop there. Okay, but years later now, it started in 2009. It is now 2022. Hope for Prisoners it's the stuff. There's no doubt about it. We're going to do a story on that. Got John sat down and interview with me. We actually we had to stop the taping because we were both starting to cry. And I'm man enough to say it. That's right. He and I were sitting there crying because John there's something about the guy. And when he starts speaking about things that are passionate, that he feels passionate about, you're going to start crying. And so that's, and I'm not going to start crying now. I know. Let's talk about something here real quick and then we'll be back. Okay. So Livin Expos, our new product, folks, that we're going to be coming out with. It'll be coming out soon. You'll have to check this out. Livin Expos. We've teamed up with Tina Marie Hepner. If you are a vendor, you are somebody who does home improvement, real estate, that kind of stuff, Livin Expos. Be listening up for that, folks. We'll be talking about it even more in the next coming weeks. So there's what time do we have? Let's make sure. I'm not gonna run over. So over at Hoover Dam, many of you know that we've got a water shortage here in the great state of Nevada and the lower 48 here in the city of Las Vegas as a result of a drought that we've had for well over a decade. Little by little, the reservoir over at Lake Mead has been dropping. Well, our power actually has been going down too. So we just got a report that said that our Hoover Dam power production is down 33%. And this is the interesting thing about it, folks. The headline of the article says, crisis mode? No. Are they concerned? Yes. And that's what the reclamation officials are saying. Now, we had this conversation yesterday, too, is that Hoover Dam, and we keep talking about this every day, especially the last couple of months, we've been talking about the lake level just going down, down, down. Well, it is really down now, folks. It's as low as it's been seen in 30 years. Well, when the water level goes down, the amount of pressure that pushes against the dam that turns the turbines. I'm geeking out here, of course, because I was an electrician. And once you're an electrician, you're always an electrician. Pressure against those turbines is not as great now because the water level is much lower. So the power level has been reduced. But the cool thing about it is over the years, they've had new technology. They've replaced some of the turbines, some of the different formats, platforms that they're using to make it more efficient have been installed. So even though power is down a little bit, it is not in crisis mode. So we're still in good shape right now. We just really need to be very, very careful with our water and not to use it up. Now, did you hear about this, folks? There was a drug bust. Oh, gosh. Yeah. There was a drug bust just recently. Oh, my gosh. This was terrible. There was an operation that happened back on May 6th and the 12th. And the state police, alongside with federal agencies like the Moapa River Indian Reservation Police Department, Henderson Police, Las Vegas Metro, and more, conducted a criminal interdiction operation within the Moapa River Indian Reservation. In a nutshell, a couple of brothers got busted with a whole lot of drugs. I mean, this was amazing. 2,100 pounds of narcotics, worth an estimated $11.7 million, seized on the reservation. They said includes the largest illegal marijuana seizure in Nevada State Police history. Oh my gosh. So they said, now this is a list of the stuff that was stolen or was seized. Over 2,000 pounds of marijuana with a street value of about $8 million. Fentanyl, which is like death. Street value of $2.3 million. Cocaine. About, what was it, 28 pounds of cocaine. Street value of $1.3 million. Heroin. Wow. Street value of $3.6 million. Methamphetamines. Street value of about $2 million. And 3 handguns. Gotta have a handgun. Okay, they had 3 handguns. I would have thought with all that stuff they would have had more than 3 handguns to protect this stuff. I guess they figured, no, nobody's gonna look at this van. 3 handguns, that's it. Okay, to protect all this stuff, guys. So 2 suspects. One guy's name is Tamir Ishan, Debman, and Hariz Yasir Purvis were arrested and charged with trafficking marijuana felony. Glad they got these guys off the streets, and hopefully we can take care of some of this stuff. It's an amazing thing that happened. On a happier note, the AAPI. So we were talking about this before we were going to get to the story. AAPI, the Asian American Pacific Islander community, has just opened up a new medical center, and this is really important. They said that they opened this medical center. That they said to address the lack that the people in the AAPI community have, and this is very interesting. Many of you know that Las Vegas has been called the 9th island. And the reason for that is because we have so many Hawaiians who live here. There's as many Hawaiians live here as, some of the smaller islands in Hawaii. The AAPI community has grown 228% over the last, since 2000. I mean, that's a lot of people. They said that the Asian community alone, the Asians alone are expected to become the largest immigrant group in the county by 2055. Yeah, according to a 2020 report from the Pew Research Center, and so they're going to be a huge group of people here. I don't know if they'll surpass the Hispanic community. I don't even know if the Hispanic community is even considered an immigrant group because they live right next door to us. You know what I mean? So I have to check on that and find out. But there's how many? There's 260,000 Asian Americans in America AAPI, Asian American Pacific Islander. Okay, there's a difference between. So you got to make sure you get that right. 260,000 of them here in Clark County. So, and also in a related story, the AAPI just started a Chamber of Commerce. Yeah, so we have people who watch our show here in the mornings, and check us out on YouTube. They're from the Asian American Pacific Islander. It's hard to say. I'm going to just say AAPI. They who watch our show, who check us out on YouTube or on our Twitter feed or stuff like that. I mean, we have quite a few people, Hispanic community, and so you may not have known this, but there was just an opening for the Asian AAPI Chamber of Commerce, just happened. So. As a matter of fact, I will post the location of that because I did find it out where the location of that was. I just don't have the article in front of me because I was just looking at that. Very exciting stuff. I mean, everything's exciting happening here in Vegas. It really is. Let's take one more break, folks. We'll be back in just a second for more of the Livin in Vegas podcast. Okay. I love that song. I really do. I'm a guitar guy, so love that stuff. Um, Welcome back to the show, folks. So good of you to join us. If you're joining us on Facebook or your Twitter or YouTube, YouTube especially, if you're on our YouTube channel, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Really encourage you to do that. Just go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that way you get updated whenever we upload one of our shows. And we do these shows Monday through Friday. Matter of fact, I had somebody ask me about that yesterday. They said, well, Sherm, how often do you do your podcast? I said, we do it 5 days a week. And so, as a matter of fact, we just got an offer to host, at least short term, another podcast for a friend because they just really want to get their podcast going. But and they've had it gone in the past, but they just need somebody who's a little more consistent. So, and more than happy to help them out. Just more than happy to help them out. So, many of you know that our Lady Rebels softball team, I would have made this picture bigger, but it's really kind of blurry. The Lady Rebels baseball team came as a runner-up in the NISC. And so they did a great job. So the National Invitational Softball Championship on Thursday, they took the runner-up position. So excited for them. The girls have been just on fire this year. They really have been. You might have remembered that earlier in the week, the men's baseball team finished number 1 in the Mountain West. So we're so excited. Not only did the guys do well, but the women are just stellar. And the women are leading the pack. Just so excited. Speaking about the women, this is Jackie Young. Jackie Young is one of our star guards, or the star guard for the Las Vegas Aces. And people are saying, hey, guess what? She is probably the candidate for the Aces' most valuable player. That she is just doing her thing. And if you've watched the Las Vegas Aces for any length of time, you know this has got to be saying something. We have on our team first-year coach Becky Hammond, who just came from the NBA. We've got Asia Wilson, center Kelsey Plum, Dearica Hamby, and so Jackie Young. Oh, I forgot Kelsey Gray. So Kelsey Gray is just no slouch either. But to actually say that all of that set aside, all these great players that we have set aside, the person who's probably going to be the MVP, Jackie Young. Oh, she comes off and she does something for the team when Kelsey Gray's not shooting, like that ever happens, right? or Kelsey Plum is not making it, that never happens. Or Asia Wilson isn't scoring, which never happens either. Jackie Young is firing it up, and she really is very, very good. If you've watched their games, are they playing tonight? I know they're playing May 31st. Let me double check. So I know they're playing May 31st. Oh, that's a special day too. That's my birthday. I'm sorry. Yes, my birthday is Tuesday. So if you want to say happy birthday to me on Tuesday, you can do that. I'm more than happy to have you say happy birthday to me on Tuesday, and I take check, credit card. So they're playing May 31st, and their game is actually moved to 6 p.m. on ESPN. Oh yeah. Oh, you know what that means? They are noticing the girls. The Aces are not just doing great things on the court, though, folks. They went over to, and we're going to have to end on this, they went over to Shade Tree, gave them 600 pair of shoes. I think that was just yesterday. They're just doing such a great job. Anyways, so folks, I want to remind you, Memorial Day weekend, please get out there and, say a prayer for the guys who've fallen, the men and women who've fallen for this country. Lay a wreath, put out your flags. We're going to be putting our flag out here pretty quick. in memoriam for all the great people who have done such a great service for this country. Remember them for what they've done for us, because if it weren't for them, we would not have the freedoms that we have this day. Be careful out there. Okay, traffic's going to be crazy. If you're going out to the lake, be careful. We'll see you again Monday for Livin in Vegas podcast. I'm Sherman Ray, the publisher of Livin in Vegas magazine. We'll see you again Monday, where we'll talk about the people, the places, the trends, the events that shape the city of Las Vegas. When you think about living in Vegas, think living local. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.